next question. So, Michiel, what is the difference in accountable off and online marketing?
Well, one thing is that for the online accountability, it's quite easy because every click is registered. So you have much more data without doing too much effort. And for the offline, of course, you have to put in some extra effort to do research on, like, for instance, what does your television commercial do? What does your out of office, out of home commercials do? You have to put in much more effort. But for me, the difference between online and offline is sometimes too big or too large within certain companies. For me, it's all about marketing, and that doesn't matter if it's on or offline, because, like, if you're looking at television commercials, they're also shown on YouTube. So why make a difference? You need to know what your commercial is doing, and of course you need to know in which environment it shows up. So for online, you have a lot of data almost for free, and for offline, you have to gather some data and invest in that. Absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, Laura. So, what do you think about that? I think he's right, but one of the problems is, though, there's the halo effects between on and offline media. So sometimes those direct measurements that you get out of online don't necessarily tell the whole story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would agree, and I'm going to defer to you guys because you guys tend to look more at it from a campaign and activity perspective. We tend to look at things much more holistically and strategically. I am a huge proponent of integrated marketing. And when you do integrated marketing, everything is kind of interwoven together. And so you got to be careful, because otherwise this is where this whole attribution thing is starting to come in. Where does it come from? But to your point, Guy, you can't really sometimes tease that out specifically. So for example, I might get ultimately last touch from an in-person event, and that might actually lead to the ultimate customer engagement. But there could have been lots of things prior to that, right? Before that in-person contact, they might have been on LinkedIn and read some articles or some other articles in an online or offline publication. They might have come to our website and looked at some stuff, downloaded it, or our YouTube channel. They might be in places we can see them or be in places where we can't see them. But the fact that they made a point at this in-person event to step up and raise their hand, but there could have been lots and lots of other things that were happening that brought them to that moment. And that moment was sort of the tipping point for them to have a conversation. After that, we might have some emails directly with each other, and then that might lead to them looking at some very specific information or wanting to talk to a customer. And then that might lead back to another conversation. So it's all highly integrated. And I think it's important not to lose sight of how important that is in marketing. And this is why I miss those of us who were integrated marketers in the old days. Remember, we were all integrated marketers in the old days. We became sort of specialists more recently. And I think we need to revisit that as a skill set for marketing people. It's not really you're good at social and you're good at events and you're good at online media, but really, how do you look at what you're trying to do, which is engage customers, right? Holistically.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that that your concept or your point about integrated marketing and looking at it at a strategic, holistic view, it really makes a lot of sense. Any final words on that?
Yeah, if you look at integrated marketing management, you really have to look in the cooperation between marketing, sales, and what I call service. When the customer has passed the deal and is customer, you still have to look into if you're getting the right customers. So marketing and sales can be very happy, and you see in a lot of presentations the funnel stops at the deal after sales. But I think the funnel continues afterwards at what we call service, and you have to be sure that you're picking up the right customers. Otherwise, marketing and sales are quite happy, quite pleased what they're doing. They have a high conversion, they reach a lot of people and have a lot of deals, but maybe we connect, maybe we attract the wrong customers, and that's why you need to cooperate with sales and service to be sure that you're attracting the right customers.
Yeah,
I agree. I love something that Mikhail does in the book, and we've been talking about it a long time too. So it's always great to see a kindred spirit. And that is about flipping the funnel from a vertical to a horizontal picture. And we have discussed that forever. We call it pipeline engineering, but today it's called the customer journey. But the point being that if you flip it, you also have to think about it from the customer. If you're customer centric, from customer behaviors. And we call that the 6 C's. So for us, we talk about, you got to make contact. A bunch of stuff is happening over here, out there in the world, digital or not. And ultimately you need to make contact. You know, it's like someone saying, hello, I am so-and-so, and I work at such and such a place and whatnot. Kind of that old days, the exchange of just a business card. And then from contact, you kind of make a connection. Get connected on LinkedIn, maybe they subscribe to your newsletter, but behavioral things. And then from that connection, the goal ultimately, right, is some kind of conversation. And from conversation to some kind of consideration, and consideration being, it could be an RFP, whatever, to consumption, where they actually place a purchase order or do an engagement. And then the last C, to what Mikhail is talking about, community. Those customers that become a community, how do you make sure you continue to retain them, they become advocates, you grow your share of wallet with them, they help you to find your next products, they adopt those new products, they're early adopters. I mean, all those things that happen in the community. And if you think about it that way, marketing should own all of those C's and should be thinking about how they are affecting every step in those C's and moving up their customers, both existing and prospective customers, through each step in those phases.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I definitely agree with your statement that marketing should own each of the consumer or the customer all the way through each of those steps.